Hello and welcome to another episode of Around the Ice, a fantasy hockey podcast presented to you by Fantasy and Frames. I am Bryan Toast Clark, and taking a double shift for our guy JT, who has the night off, and joined by our regular co-host Aaron Tometich. Tonight we continue our position reviews as we get we're going to get our listeners ready for their fantasy hockey drafts, and we're going to talk a little bit of goaltending tonight. And before we do that, I want to really, invite all of you to please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Fantasy and Frames, keeping 4 eyes on the puck. And you guys can tune in every Tuesday night at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time during the regular season. We're going to be on there every Tuesday night, get you ready for your fantasy hockey matchups. And hopefully you line your pockets a little bit as well. We have a betting segment every Tuesday night as well, and most importantly, give our crew a follow on X at FIF Hockey. So, Aaron, you ready to talk some goaltenders tonight?
Yeah, but my favorite position. But no. Kidding aside, it is important. It is in a lot of leagues, especially your redraft leagues. You're going to have to deal with goalies at some point. But ready to jump right into it. Before we do though, you talked about the Fantasy and Frames family here. I would encourage everybody. Whatever your sport is, it's covered with this company, and it's I like the atmosphere because there's really no judgment. It's just like, how do you talk about fantasy with your buddies? How do you talk about it? If you go to a bar, are you going to agree on everything? No. Are you going to have a point of view? Yeah. I mean, come on, like, subscribe, join in the chat. You think we're way off? Let's have a talk. If you think we're right on, then let's make money together. So it's really, really fun. Again, the NHL season so close. And you know what else? So yeah, like you said, JT with the night off. If anybody needs the night off, it might be you and I to recover from that Bears loss last night.
Oh,
We're the two resident Bears fans. JT is the Colts fan there, and his Colts played a miracle game. They look great,
yep.
and the Bears did what the Bears do. So here we are. But yeah, we'll lock it in. We'll get these goalies out of the way, and then we'll move on to everybody making money. So. Ready to go.
Aaron, 28 days. 28 days.
Oh,
A Steve Larmer away,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
From
Grandpa. Yeah.
from opening night, October 7th. The Blackhawks will actually again visit the defending Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers. But last night's Bears loss just reminded me right then and there on really I'm already looking forward to hockey, and hockey is really my priority anyway. It's more of a priority over football or fantasy football. Hockey's where it's at, and kind of to get everybody ready for our upcoming shows here. So we got tonight's show, then we got 3 more weeks and into opening night. So next week we plan on doing a mock draft. We're going to do like a regular position mock draft, and that's on the 16th. On September 23rd, we're going to do a category mock. And then on 9/30, September 30th, we're going to do our futures gambling show, which is personally my favorite. That's going to be great. So that way we can get you ready for our picks, our toast takes that are actually throughout the season as well. And then on October 7th, opening night, that is our second annual opening night Fantasy and Frames live cast. So we'll actually do a live cast during the games. It may end up being probably during the first set of games, the 6 o'clock games, and we'll be on the air for maybe a couple hours, and we'll actually just kind of follow the game, really shoot the breeze regarding hockey, fantasy hockey, whatever it may be. Have the listeners actually get to know us a little bit. We did it on my back porch last year. I'm not sure exactly where we'll do it this year, but we'll definitely do a live cast for sure, so you guys can see us in person and enjoying the hockey games and the festivities and opening night just like any other fan would. So, but Aaron, let's get into goaltending here. So a tough position, right? When I say tough position, it's a frustrating position. Goaltenders are very the majority of them are unreliable. There are a couple tiers that we're actually talking about here that are very reliable from year to year. But put you on the spot here a little bit, but let me ask you, if you were starting a fantasy league and you really wanted to try to maximize the goalie position, how many goalies would you start personally, you? And also, what would your scoring be like? Maybe give some of these listeners an idea if they're going to start a league or actually are in a league. If they can try to get the goalie position right, what can you do?
Yeah, so you're talking in terms of the format of the league, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, if it's me and I'm the commish, I go one goalie. I start him, and I want to. Let's say that your average player gets 4 starts. Let's say it's a week of 4 starts, and your scoring is, I'm going to go 2.5 points a game. We're right around that 10, 11 point range for an average week for your player. So I'm going to look at that first and work my way backwards. How do I get a goalie to score points if he has a, say, 35 save game, picks up the win, and has a high save percentage? How do I equate that to that 10 or 11 points? That way, that one position for the course of a week, maybe he get, and again, it also depends on how many starts that goalie gets, because it's so I might have to weight it just slightly. I might have to give him a little bit of a bump, because he may get, especially with goalies nowadays, they're 2 starts day off, 2 starts day off, even the big names. So they're not getting all 4 of those starts, but I would kind of start there and work my way backwards on the scoring. I just want it equal with those guys. So if you want to, let's say you get a Hellebuck, it's kind of the equivalent in the goalie category to getting a McDavid or a McKinnon. Everybody else then, and we'll talk about tiers here in just a second, everybody else then is tiered appropriately after that. So there's one standout, but that's really what I go. I don't like the dual goalies. Just, again, it's if I'm not watching the Blackhawks, then I'm catching other games. I as a fan, I just want to see goals. I want to see hits. I want to see good close games, and saves just don't do it for me. So that's my personal take on that. Is I start one goalie, I put enough guys in the back, in the roster spot, so that if you do have that tandem goalie, you can go out and you can take his partner later in the draft, or you can stack so you have enough. So you always have a start, and probably put a minimum on the start. So I can't just throw them out there one time, but I'd have to tinker with that a little bit too. But just as long as that one position is kind of on par with the other positions, it doesn't either make or break your week.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, the one goalie start. I'm really a big believer in only starting one goalie. If you have anywhere from a 10 to a 16 team league, for the most part, everybody's going to have a fairly good starter. If you start 2, then you're looking, let's say your 10 to 16 team leagues, you're looking at everybody needs 2 starters, and then you have several teams in the league that really, they had that timeshare, I call it, right? So then you're almost forced to actually get that stack, and then instead of carrying maybe 3 goalies on the roster, you're actually forced to then carry 4, and that's just actually taking away a position player, and it's really difficult to do that, right? So and if your league actually counts, really takes into account, let's say, goalie losses, and actually then penalizes goalies for that, then the pool of valuable goalies becomes even that much more lesser. I mean, it's just you're phasing your position out in the event that you actually have if you're counting goalie losses, at least like a couple points for a loss, you're phasing the whole position out. You're literally taking your position of 32 goalies you could actually choose from, and you're really making the position like 15 deep. That's it. And it's just, it waters it down so much. So I would recommend, if you are going to go 2 goalies, starting 2 goalies, that you definitely consider not having goalie losses be in the equation, and give some 0.2 for a save. Because hey, let's face it, Spencer Knight for the Blackhawks, he may end up averaging. I think he's going to be a pretty good goalie, but he may end up having 30 saves a night and won't get a whole lot of wins. And but you got to have him be valuable to some degree. And there's a lot of players like that we're going to talk about as well. So, that may lend us to another question here, Aaron. Just getting these out of the way. When you draft a goalie, I know there's a couple podcasts I listen to out there, and some people I actually follow on Discord that implement the 0G goalie, the 0G approach, kind of like the 0 RB approach in fantasy football. So we're just not going to go with the running back and everything else, but what's your thoughts on that? Do you like taking a goalie early? Do you like just kind of waiting forever and just kind of taking up the scraps if everything's equal, right, for the scoring?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't heard the term 0G, but I like it. I'm going to adopt it. So that's 100% where I'm at with that. There's always, and we've talked about this before on prior pods, usually when we're taking a dump on goalies, but there's somebody that emerges. There's a Joey DeCord out there that we don't know about. There's a Dustin Wolf out there that we don't know about. Now, obviously you get in on somebody. There's so much you can do. You can go to NHLreference.com. You can look at some of the advanced goalie statistics and try to be as predictive as you can. Like, who is that guy that's going to step up? I also like your approach of team defense. Who's got the best defensive defenseman. Your Carolina Panther, or I'm sorry, your Carolina Hurricanes. Here I am talking football again. Colorado Avalanche, the Florida Panthers. All these teams that they're going to win far more than they lose. They're just not going to sink you with that. But I kind of play it by ear. I mean, I'll grab a name or two. I'll grab, let's say, a John Gibson. He's going to be playing for Detroit. He'll get more starts than Talbot. But I might grab him because I know he'll get starts. I know he'll play. I've seen his body of work. I'll take him very late. And then I'll throw my hat in the ring on a Jet Greaves that had a tremendous end of the year. I mean, that's kind of a hot name right now, but I think this is when the torch is passed. He may get the net from Elvis this year. So I'll go ahead and stash him and hope that's my guy later down. You already talked about Spencer Knight. I think he's I love that the Hawks have him. I mean, look what happened. They sent Seth Jones. Now, who knew Seth Jones was Bobby Orr? But I think it's a trade ultimately that'll work out for the Hawks, and especially as we see what they can do defensively. Their defensive core is a year more mature, and we'll see. But I wait. I love the 0G. I'll go into the at least mid-teens. On the rounds before I even look at the list of goalies that are out there.
Yeah, and if you want to simplify this position for listeners out there getting ready for their fantasy drafts, it's really you're looking at volume, right? You're looking at volume starts. So I like to try to find guys that have a projection of maybe 55, 56, 57 starts or more. That ends up getting you right around there at the 70% mark. They're getting 70% of their team starts, and those volume starters are actually what you want. It doesn't even matter so much if they're actually on winning teams. It helps, but you're getting points for save percentage. You're actually getting points for saves. You're getting points for wins as well. But they need to be starting. If they have 4 games in a week, they need to get the net 3 of them. And then they're not going to get the net on a back-to-back. But you got to get those volume starters. And so I mean that is key. And who cares who they are? It's gravy on top in the event that you actually get one. You're like, okay, they're also on a really good team. That's gravy, right? But if you're wanting to wait on a goalie, and you're like, I know he's going to fall, and it ends up being like, and he's also maybe getting a projection for 53, 54, 55, 56 starts. That's the way to go. I mean, you got a reliable guy, and then look back at the last 3-4 seasons, especially if he's been with the same team, and be like, is he always getting 55 starts? If he is, that trend's going to continue.
Yeah.
So look at volume, draft from there, and like Aaron said as well, really look at the defense in front of them. And heck, if you don't know like who's good defensively, Google it.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
see like who allowed the least amount of goals last year and the 24-25 standings. Just simplify it. It's not
Yeah.
rocket science here. We're not going to get into Delta Fenwick percentage and all this crap, and we're just going to make it easy because goaltenders again are very, very unpredictable for the most part as a group. So, Aaron, let's get into the tiers. Let's get into the
Sure.
tiers here, and I think you and I both agree that Connor Hellebuck is in a tier of his own. There's one thing I wanted to point out with Hellebuck here, who she's an MVP of the league. That's unbelievable. That doesn't happen very, very often, if ever. It's very, very rare. I did have a tough time in the playoffs last year, and he always has had a tough little time in the playoffs. But nevertheless, your fantasy leagues don't really care about the playoffs. They actually care about the regular season, and not even all of it. And here's what I like about Hellebuck. He averages at least 62, 63 starts every season. I mean, so you got the reliable net presence there. The Winnipeg's also a good, sound defensive team as well. And they got some good offensive players as well where they're going to win a lot of games. I mean, so 47 wins last year, 12 losses, a 2.00 and a 925 save percentage, 8 shutouts. It goes on and on, but here's what I like about Hellebuck. In our format anyway, he has actually been over 6 points per game the last 7 seasons. The model of consistency, right? So I think that's why you find Connor Hellebuck, who, if you're going to want to get him, you're probably going to have to draft him in the second round. One of the first 2 rounds, he's going to go, and you got to be able to commit to that. But Hellebuck is in a league of his own.
Yeah, and most of the predictive stats are out now. Depending on what your website is. You mentioned Google, Chat GPT. I look for that for actually put a couple of players through that for predictive models. Again, hey, how many goals is Pavel Dorofeyev going to score this year? And it'll give you an answer, whether it's right
That's
or not.
awesome.
We'll see. But yeah, I mean, he's the only guy that sniffs a consistent 40-win season. That's a lot of wins in a season. You're talking about starts, but gosh, you only lost 12 games. That's insane. And two goals per game. I mean, that's a goal a period, and Winnipeg walks out with a win. So, hey, yeah. But yeah, what can you say that hasn't been said about Hellebuck? Like you said, he took home all the trophies. To say a goalie's weird is, it's just a standard. But this guy is super weird. He had the weird comments in the playoffs. I mean, whatever, who cares? Just for the regular season, he's your guy. He's your clear 1-1. There's nobody that even competes with him.
Yeah, for sure. I'm staying away in my drafts. I don't
me
feel
too.
comfortable taking a goalie that early. You can get some value later on. But boy, I mean, if you really wanted to come out and take him, let's say, especially if you're drafting, at the 1-1 or the 1-2, and you're in a 10-team league, and you're lucky enough for Hellebuck to actually maybe wind around there, you're picking pick 19 or 20, and he's there. You got a McKinnon, I got a McDavid, and you can go out and get a Hellebuck. I mean, it's a nice base. So I couldn't fault somebody, but that would be the only way I'd actually be drafting Hellebuck. The price tag's too high for me.
Yeah.
Next tier, tier 2, and again, these are just our tiers. I mean, I think these guys are in the ballpark anyway. But Vasilevsky from Tampa Bay and Jake Ottinger from Dallas, and it did not put Igor Shesterkin in this tier 2, or even Dustin Wolf, but Shesterkin is a guy. But Aaron, I'll let you talk about maybe Vasilevsky or Ottinger, but I'll just mention with Shesterkin as well. I mean, he's an all-world goalie. We all know that. I mean, he's done it. The statistics actually speak for themselves here, and I'm actually just bringing up his yearly stats here. He's consistently around 60 starts. Last year, the whole team was just in disarray, right? I mean, still comes away with 27 wins, but 29 losses. That's not indicative of who he is. The previous 2 seasons, 36 and 17, 37 and 13. those mid 258, 248 goals against, saves, 915, 913, 935. Like, he's a really, really good goalie. But the only reason I actually don't have him in a tier 2 goalie with Vasilevsky and Ottinger, I just don't know about New York. I don't really know if you can guarantee with the wins. That makes me pause. And I tell you, if you're going to draft a goalie and draft him high, there better not be any question marks, because the goalies are volatile as there is. So that's why Shesterkin will drop down a tier for me. And I probably wouldn't be drafting him until maybe like round 5, maybe pick around 55, 60 overall. And if not, I'm waiting, right? But Vasilevsky and Ottinger, a little different story with those guys.
Yeah, and I'll start reverse order. I'll start with Vasilevsky on our tier 3 and echo what you said. I mean, the loss of Keandre Miller, who's a pretty defensive defenseman. Like you said, we don't know what that's going to. I'm looking at New York's defensive core right now. They're 6 defenders, and Adam Fox, he's a small little guy. He's a power play merchant. He's not back check. Well, he is back checking, but he's not doing it effectively, in my opinion.
He's not really doing it.
Yeah. He's a fourth forward or third forward out there. But Braden Schneider, he's pretty solid. But some of these other guys, I don't even know who they are. So yeah, that makes me steer away from him. So spot on with the tiering. Vasilevsky, I mean, he's a mutant. He's huge. He takes up the whole net. He's again, prior to probably maybe 4 years ago, we're probably putting Vasilevsky 5 years ago when Tampa Bay went on their cup run there. We probably put him ahead of Hellebuck before Hellebuck came into his own. But Ottinger, he's got a great defensive core in front of him. Again, maybe not the best playoffs for Ottinger, some inconsistency there, but regular season he's a stud. So yeah, spot on with the top 3 tiers so far.
Yeah, and I think you're going to find in most formats with Hellebuck, Vasilevsky, Ottinger, and Shesterkin, most of them, that's going to be your top 4.
Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Yeah.
Slice it however you want. It's really just basically what your preference is on that team. I do look at a lot, like, again, track record with the goalie, but also who, like you just said, who's in front of him, who's actually protecting that blue line, and really that's a big. And also, what's their offensive firepower actually look like on the team as well? That equates to wins. I mean, it just does. I mean, so that body of work, and again, all of these 4 guys here play on very, very good teams. Again, the New York Rangers are a little bit of a question mark. We'll see where they actually fall. After those 4 players, so those are your first 3 tiers, 2 tiers, 3 tiers, however you want it, those first 4 players, then there is, in my opinion, already the volatility starts. You've got some guys that have done it before. They may have actually done it 2 out of the last 3 years, but they haven't done it year after year after year. They're either been inconsistent, or they've actually haven't been in the league long enough to actually really establish themselves. So the question marks start already. Where if you're actually talking about centers or even wings, what you're getting at pick 65 or 70 in the draft. It. But with goalies, it's way more difficult to have the guarantee. So when you start getting in these next set of players, don't overcomplicate it. Look at the teams that actually win the most games year after year, and actually look at the goalies that actually get the most starts year after year, and pick one. It doesn't matter at that point. So that's why we bring in guys like Dustin Wolf, a 24-year-old from Calgary. Got a very, very good future in front of him. A hell of a season last year. And Mackenzie Blackwood, and do I think Blackwood is top 10 goalie talent in the world? Probably not, but he plays on Colorado, and he's probably going to get 50 starts. So Blackwood's a guy there as well. Aaron, let me ask you this. So if you had an opportunity, and no right or wrong answer on this one here, but to take Blackwood, let's say in the 7th round, pick number 80 or 90 overall, and then turn right back around and get Wedgwood, the 2 Woods there in Colorado, and get a stack. What's your thoughts on actually getting a stack? And if you were to get a stack, would that be a stack you were actually looking to get?
Yeah, that may be number 1, number 2 stack, because they play in Colorado. and I'd rather do that. I completely agree. We've got him tiered correctly. Dustin Wolf is a phenom in the net. He's amazing, but he's doing it on his own. Not a whole lot of help. So a similar situation to the Rangers. The goalie can only stand on his head for so much. He's not shooting the puck. He's not running the power play. He's flopping around like Dominic Hasek back there, just getting eaten alive by all these shots. So I definitely would rather, in that round, in that scenario, handcuff those two. And then I know every single start, barring injury, I've got the Colorado goaltender in net, and I've got a pretty solid chance of picking up at the very least, points for the win, whatever points those are established. It's a solid, it's rock solid. And then I'm not thinking of goalie the rest of the time. The rest of the draft, I'm going to load the rest of my my lineup with guys maybe I'm taking gambles on. High reward, high risk, high reward, fine, whatever. But I could do whatever I want then. Now I don't have to worry about goalies at all. I'm done with goalies. I'm not going to draft another one if I handcuff those two guys. So yeah, I definitely would.
Perfect. Yeah, and really look at your league format. That may help you determine whether or not a stack is appropriate for you or not, if you're wanting to kind of get a goalie tandem. I know our home league, we previously, we don't do this anymore, but we previously had where we actually could start 2 goalies, and we also did not have a yearly limit on waiver wire pickups, and you actually had 7 waiver wire pickups a week.
Yeah.
So there was an opportunity to stream goalies, right?
Yeah.
So that way, I really liked at that point is to maybe only roster 2 goalies on my entire roster, even though there was we could start 2, because I'd rather have the skater on my roster. And then if I got deep into the week and I needed a win, I could stream a starter and just hoping he'd stand on his head type of thing. So look at that as well. I mean, that may be, if you got that type of format, I would not recommend you get more than 2 goalies on your roster. No more than 3. Never draft 4. I mean, you're only getting 4 in the event that you're starting 2, and basically you're doing a stack, and then you're like wanting to get goalies from 3 different teams. You know what I mean? So I would again just caution on that. But Colorado is a great stack. Toronto is another great stack. You got Joseph Wall and also Anthony Stolarz, a really good stack. And you just don't. I think Stolarz would probably get the majority, but Wall is their guy. I mean, he's actually he's been the guy they actually wanted, and I believe he's signed a contract recently. I'd have to go back and look. But I'm pretty sure they've committed to him, and this I could see this one right here being let's just say 45, 37, right? 45 starts to Stolarz or Wall's 37, but it's going to be very, very close to 55, 45 on the percentage. And it's just hard. It's hard when you got 4 games in 1 week and you actually have one of those guys, and they may ride a hot hand for a week because somebody's hot. You may be stuck and be like, crap, I got a guy here and they had 4 games. He got 1 start and I'm rostering him. And I just lost all those skater points because I just decided I was going to roster a goalie that's not even playing. So it's you gotta, if you're going to go with one of those guys, Toronto or Colorado, especially Toronto, you're almost forced to get both. You're almost forced. You better get both. If not, just stay away.
Yeah, and don't think you're going to have trade bait. Nobody's going to trade for these guys. So you sit on them. Oh, I'll trade them at the deadline. No, nobody wants any of these guys. Just don't do it. Just stay away.
Yep. A goalie that's in our tier 5. So we've actually went through Hellebuck, Vasilevsky, Ottinger, and Shesterkin, Dustin Wolf, Mackenzie Blackwood. Gustafson from Minnesota. I think he's kind of underrated. And really like him as a goalie. Fleury is no longer there. I think the Flowers actually retired. So now really it's him. I don't really think he's going to have a whole lot of competition there. And Minnesota, if they can get a healthy leader on their team and actually get 97 healthy all season long, then I just think that this team is really, really good. And that means wins, right? And Gustafson's actually proven there in Minnesota. I think he for me is the goalie that I would actually wait for. And if I can get him around 7, 8, or 9 of a draft, I'm targeting him. I like him,
Yeah.
and I don't think with Minnesota being a household name and team there, he's a guy that will fall, but I think he's got all of the ability just as much as Wolf and even Shesterkin Ottinger. Like I think he's there. He's close.
Yeah, I think Wallstead will get the backup there for a while.
Yeah.
Like he was highly drafted, highly touted, but he's
And he's so young
22.
still. Yeah. Yeah.
Right, and that's the other thing. The trajectory of goalies are usually a little longer in the tooth when they come on. Where you're not seeing an 18, 19-year-old goalie. Look at Askarov that should get his starts in San Jose. I hope he does. We'll be
Yeah.
watching a lot of San Jose games, but I don't think Wallstedt. So I agree with you. He's not knocking on the door. Doesn't appear to be for Gustafsson. So I think you're pretty safe with that with him getting the majority of the starts there in mini.
Yeah. And also Ilya Sorokin for the Islanders, and
Yeah.
also UC Saros for Nashville. Those are two teams right there, and these are really, really good goalies. And obviously Saros being a very proven goalie, and Sorokin as well. But it's the teams, right? Islanders and Nashville. And Nashville, things couldn't have went worse last year for Nashville, right?
No.
And they got to be better. They got to be
Yeah.
better. And Saros is a guy, he will eat up the starts. Like he'll get you 60, 61, 62 starts. I mean, he's a machine and just taking the crease, whatnot, kind of like a John Gibson was, right? There back in the day for Anaheim, just a million starts, doesn't make a difference. He's going to be the guy. But Sorokin and Saros, I see as those, but there's question marks regarding the teams. So I like Gustafsson better. But yeah, I think Sorokin and Saros are going to be drafted before Gustafsson. So I would just rather just get Gustafsson because, again, Minnesota's going to be good. For the most part, it's his net. Sorokin Saros, really, really good goalies, very, very proven, but it's question marks regarding that team there.
Yeah.
Aaron, would you, if you had to pick Sorokin or Saros, who do you like?
I like Sorokin. I think he's more talented now. Again, we could argue who's on the better team. Well, I don't know. They're both kind of bottom feeders, but I like Sorokin. I think he's got the talent. I like the Russian goalies. Saros, he's probably a little bit more proven to this point, but I think there's more upside. And his coach is Patrick Waugh. I don't know. Maybe that could be a negative. Maybe that I'm making an argument against myself to have arguably the best goaltender of all time, coaching you, like, just make the save. What is he really going to give him? But I like Sorokin. I don't know why, I just do. I think he's if I were to watch a goalie, I think he and Dustin Wolf, I think, are athletically very gifted. They're fun to watch. And the guy that just can't stay healthy, Thatcher Demko, is another one that's just. I know he's not in this tier, but again, when you're talking about athleticism, if he could stay off the IR, certainly. But those guys they really stand out in how they approach the game and some of those crazy kick saves and stuff. I just like that. So I'd go Sorokin.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's had a couple of tough seasons. When I say tough seasons, the last three seasons here, volume starter, plenty of wins, plenty of losses. So basically, last year, 24 losses. 23-24, he had 19 losses. 22-23, he had 22 losses. But each one of those, he's over 25 wins a season as well. Just a volume starter. I don't mind getting him. And again, but I think Sorokin is a guy that goes a little too high for me.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that probably have him, 14th, 15th goalie in the league or whatever, but they're maybe drafting him like 10th, 11th goalie, and just a guy I like to kind of stay away from. But it's funny that we've got a couple guys that have actually won a cup in the past. We haven't mentioned it before, mainly because they play on that crap ass team, the St. Louis Blues. But Jordan Bennington, who is a hothead in itself. That's another reason not to like this guy. But also Sergei Bobrovsky as well. And it's interesting that players like this, these are guys at their age, right? Bennington's 32, but Bobrovsky's actually going to be 37 this year. So a lot of people just kind of pass on them, but especially Bobrovsky, you look at him. I understand Florida's going to be without Matthew Tkachuk until like January. I think this year, Florida, they may just kind of coast through the regular season. I don't think they're a team that really gives a crap who they actually play in the playoffs. They're so good. They're so good. It doesn't make a difference at all. But these are goaltenders that are falling in drafts, and I like these guys. I would rather. I think the value that you're actually getting as far as how good of a goaltender they are, the teams are actually obviously Florida being really, really good. St. Louis is up and coming. Bennington last year, I was actually just checking here. Last year, he actually had 28 wins, a 269, a 900 save percentages, all that great. 56 starts. He's over 5 points a game as a goalie. He's right there, right? So, but it did drop off a little bit last year for Bennington. I'd be more comfortable with Bobrovsky. But what do you think? Would you like to target Bennington or Bobrovsky, or even like you said, like a Demko later, other than getting these guys that are in the top 4?
Yeah, I honestly think I would, and the reason why I would, again, as much as I hate the Blues, I'd go a Bennington Hofer combo over Bobrovsky, because I think Hofer, he's man, I would love to see that guy take the reins. I don't think it'll be this year, but certainly when he was in, he played very well, and I'm just sick to death of Bennington. And Bennington really hasn't flipped his lid or got his wires crossed very, very often lately. It's funny. There's a friend that plays hockey. Got to maybe get him on the pod one day, but he's got a direct story. Maybe he'll share with us with Jordan Bennington. So just what you see on the ice is pretty much what you get. So anyway, all that said, I would love to. I would definitely do that ahead of Bobrovsky. Like you said, I don't think Florida cares who they play. They don't care what spot, 1 spot, 8 spot, doesn't matter. They're built for the playoffs, and they're going to go far. They're going to go at least to the Eastern Conference Championship again this year, and that's just how it is.
All right. So far, value picks. We like Mackenzie Blackwood, like Philip Gustafson, Jordan Bennington, Sergei Bobrovsky as well. So those are good value picks you can actually wait on. You're still getting a really, really good goalie. They're on good teams as well. And speaking of like being on a really, really good team, and actually also a player that quite frankly, you expect to probably get 55 starts or whatnot, Aiden Hill for Vegas. I mean, so Hill's another guy that I would actually be all over. I would actually really, really just kind of target him. So Akira Schmidt is going to be the backup. I think he used to play for Jersey, if I remember right.
He's been around. He's a journeyman. Yeah.
They got Samsonov as well. So it's him, and there's kind of these guys here as well. The only thing with Hill is the fact that you really want Hill to kind of be a volume starter. And last year was the first time he played anywhere close to being a 50 start goalie. He's always been a timeshare guy, always. But if you actually look at Hill, he's only 29. That's young for a goalie. That's like basically equivalent to actually being like a 25-year-old skater. Plenty of years left on him. Last year was the first year he actually, got the reins. And man, 32, 13, and 2, a 247 with a 906 save percentage. Okay, not like amazing, but 50 starts. I think he's going to get more than 50 starts this year. They're wanting him to get 60, right? So, and Vegas is going to be so unbelievably good. I mean, they could end up being the favorite for the Cup. During our gambling show, they're going to come out. I would wonder if they are going to come up with the best odds behind Florida. I think Florida will be number 1. They'd probably be number 2, right?
Yeah. I think out of the West, you're spot on. And Aiden Hill, again, like you said, you look at the body of work. He's proven that he can be the undisputed one starter or 1A starter. He's not splitting time with Logan Thompson. And it's funny, Logan Thompson went to Washington, and he's the consummate goalie tandem, 50% of a goalie tandem. But yeah, I like Aiden Hill, and he's a guy. Nobody's going to be sitting there in your draft putting Aiden Hill in a queue. Just sit on him, just wait. Value pick for sure. And I really, that might be the standout so far of everybody we've listed as the value picks in late rounds. That might be the number 1. You steal him in a late round because it's not a big name. It's, it is what it is, but I think he'll have a big year. I think he'll be competing with our tier 2 guys, to be honest with you.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's hidden gem, man. I'm with you. That may be the best value out of anybody. And I think Aiden Hill, you're probably going to be able to actually get him around pick 90 to 100. somewhere around
Perfect.
there in your draft. Hey, perfect. Like sign me up. I'll take him every time. I'll gladly take 8 skaters or 9 skaters and then take him. Like it'd be great. Like
Yeah.
no problem. And as we wrap up our show here, we're getting close to kind of. I mean, we're not going to talk about all 32 goalies and more. Like honestly, again, the goalie position really ends up being um, for our thoughts anyway, more of a nuisance than anything.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I got to draft it. They told me I actually have to. I got to start 1 or 2 of these guys. Let's not overthink it. And that's why we're actually having a little bit of a shorter show tonight, because there isn't a whole lot of deep dive into statistics and this and that. You're just looking for consistency. But a couple other guys I want to mention here: Sam Montembeault. Again, I just think that Montreal. He's a really good goaltender. Montreal is on the rise. Montreal is actually, they're going to be a good team. And I also like Linus Ullmark, because you know how I love Ottawa,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
Ottawa's now starting to figure out how to win as a team.
Yeah.
They got the playoff taste last year. I think this is a team that's going to be. I think Ottawa can get to 45 wins this year. I really do. They may not knock on 50, but I think get 45. And if they get 45, Montembeault's going to have 32, 33 of those. He's just going to. And I'm sorry, Ullmark is going to have 32, 33 of those. And he had 40 a couple of years back, remember, and he won the Vezina with Boston. Now, that was the year they set the record and for most points in a season, everything else. But Ullmark's proven. I kind of like
Yeah.
him. I also think that's a guy that's probably going to go 13th, 14th round, 15th round. I mean, it's going to be around pick 150, somewhere around there. Let's just wait and get Ullmark. Get a combination of Montembeault and Ullmark, and just wait. That's what I would do.
Yeah. 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 And if you're going to do that too, look at his backup, Dobish. I think that's how you say it, Jacob
Mhm.
Dobish. But he was formidable in the limited starts, but has clearly earned that backup spot. So if you snatch Montembeault late, maybe your very last round of the very last pick in the draft, or last 2 rounds,
Mhm.
pick up Dobish and just handcuff him. But I would say my shout out, my sleeper goalie, who's the Dustin Wolf of this year? Karel Vizmelka for Utah.
Yes.
Again, we're going to get into our prediction show. I think this is the year he gets it together. He's going to get the clear #1 starts. He's going to be in net for that team, and I'm excited for Utah. I heard another podcast. I can't remember. It was a predictive one, but they were a little, next year might be the year that Utah, not 26, but the year after, will be the jump for Utah. No, man, I say it's this year. I say they're ready.
Yeah. Yeah.
This guy in net. So looking forward to that.
Perfect. Yeah. A couple other teams that are always really good. Of course, you got Washington, and Logan Thompson will probably get at least 60% of the starts over there.
Yeah.
So another goalie to actually wait on. Still only 28 years old. Guarantee he's probably going to get the 30 wins this season. Boy, I don't really know if they overachieved Washington, or maybe they're just really good. We still don't know. Right, we still don't know. I'd like to see him do it again this year. And then Carolina, you got Carolina, who is arguably the best defensive team, well-rounded team in the entire NHL. And you got Peter Kochetkov and you got Frederick Anderson. So it's gonna be 55-45 on the percentage they're split. So there's another stack opportunity. But man, if you're gonna go a stack, Carolina, the only downfall about Carolina being so good defensively, then your goalies are limited on saves. So if they don't get the saves you actually need, especially in head-to-head scoring leagues, you're not getting that 0.2. They may be lucky to have 18, 19, 20 saves a night, and they're basically going to get a win, but they're just not getting the volume up there. Now, if your league only counts wins, and you're in a categories league, and you're actually counting save percentage as well, well, they're dynamite. They're great. I mean, they're going to be who you actually want, and you're going to want to actually just grab that stack there, and actually stack those guys. But they're really good goalies outright themselves. A couple other sleepers that we actually like as well. Jacob Markstrom. So again, it's because of New Jersey and how good the team is. And actually, I think if you get a healthy Jack Hughes all year and he quits sliding into the freaking boards and almost decapitating himself and then cutting off his own legs every year, he won't actually have a problem. He can play all 82. then Markstrom's going to be really, really valuable. A guy that's probably going to get 55 starts in New Jersey. He's probably going to get over 30 wins. If everybody stays healthy. And then Aaron, let me ask you this. Jeremy Swayman in Boston.
Mm-hmm.
Would you draft Swayman? Let's say, would you draft Swayman if you were actually forced to start 2 goalies, and you had to draft Swayman in the top 10 rounds? Would you, if you had to take him with your first 10 picks, would you actually take a Swayman? And you had to
No.
draft? Yeah. And why is that? Is it less to do with Jeremy Swayman and more so to do with Boston? Is that
Yes.
what you're thinking? Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Short answer, yes. All has to do with Boston and the decline that I think is they're setting up for. Like you said, Ullmark and Swayman together when they scored the top points in the league, but then they were bounced in the first round. I don't. Last year, I didn't like anything about it. He got his contract, got his paper, and then again, I don't think he all of a sudden got worse overnight. It's just more of his team. So no, I don't. No, I'd stay away from him. I let somebody else grab a big name. Let somebody else go out and get him. I'd rather take my chances with some of the other value picks we've discussed.
Gotcha. So I'm gonna go ahead and lead off this last part here, and we're gonna wrap up our show tonight. But if I could pick 2 goalies that I want on my team that I know that actually get good value in the draft and also they can produce at a high level, I think you and I would both probably agree Adin Hill is probably a guy we actually want on our team.
Yeah.
And if you could get a combination of Adin Hill, Philip Gustafson, and maybe even Sergei Bobrovsky as well. But I like Hill and I'd like Bobrovsky. And if I can actually get those 2 guys, and I would maybe take them in round 9 and round 12, respectively, I'm tickled pink. I'm happy as hell. And I feel like I walked out of there and I won the goalie position because I had the best value in the draft.
Yeah.
How about you, Aaron? Who would you want if you just could pick 2 guys out of a hat value wise? That way the listeners can take this away and be like, yeah, I need to start thinking about these guys potentially.
I'm going same with Adin Hill. I think consistency wise and just looking at his the volume of work, he's my clear one. And then Vesmelka, I'm taking a risk on him. He doesn't have the body of work, but that's my again, I kind of did this with, well, it wasn't that dramatic, but I did this last year with Seattle, Joey Decord. Like that's going to be my one, and he put up good numbers. He got me to the championship game. He was my best goalie. So, and it was a week 2 pickup off the free agent wire. So, but yeah, those are definitely my 2 value picks. One, I'm probably, like you said, probably getting around that round 10-ish for a Hill, and then taking the other value pick there towards the end.
Awesome. So let's wrap up this show here, and we'll say by this is we are going to mock draft next week. We're going to mock draft on the 23rd as well. We're going to have our gambling show on the 30th, and then we're going to do our second annual opening night live cast on opening night on October 7th as well. Please join us. Be there as we actually do those. We are also wanting to put together a listeners league. We're looking for that. We really want everybody to actually spread the word. Contact us at FIF Hockey and just shoot us a DM or just give us a post on X. That makes no difference saying, I want to be in this league. Spread it to your friends as well. Get in the league. We want to have a first annual listeners league. We could actually have a draft here in the next couple of weeks. It would be amazing. So please actually consider that as well. Subscribe to us on YouTube at Fantasy and Frame, keeping 4 eyes on the puck. And for tonight, I am Bryan Toast Clark, co-host Aaron Tometich at Titch4141. We will see you guys next week.